The door exploded inward just as Connor Hayes reached for his coffee mug. Splinters flew across his kitchen. 3 armored figures stormed through the smoke, weapons raised, scanning the room with glowing visors. Connor froze with his hands still extended, his brain struggling to process what his eyes were seeing. "Secure the perimeter," the largest figure barked. Its voice came through a translator that made every word sound like grinding metal. "Verify we have the correct residence." Connor's survival instincts kicked in. He dove behind his kitchen counter as a red targeting laser swept across the wall where his head had been. His heart hammered against his ribs. This couldn't be happening. Not on a Tuesday morning. Not in suburban Phoenix. "Human located," another voice announced. "Single occupant detected." The lead figure stepped forward. Its armor gleamed with an oily iridescence that hurt to look at directly. When it reached up and removed its helmet, Connor's mouth went dry. The face beneath was elegant and terrible, with luminous golden eyes and skin that shimmered like polished obsidian. 4 delicate horns curved back from its skull. Definitely female, definitely not human. "You?" she said, her real voice melodic and commanding. "Stand and present yourself." Connor stayed crouched. "Lady, I think you've got the wrong house." She tilted her head, studying him with an expression that might have been confusion or might have been calculating his optimal dismemberment angle. "This is residence 427 Maple Drive, is it not?" 429, Connor said. His voice came out steadier than he felt. "You're off by 2 houses. The alien queen's eyes widened. She turned sharply to one of her guards. "Verify coordinates immediately." While the guard fumbled with a holographic display, Connor's mind raced. Wrong house meant they were looking for his neighbors. The Caldwells at 427 had moved out last month. The new family hadn't even finished unpacking yet. "Commander Vera," the guard said, its translator crackling with what might have been panic. "The navigational offset was not calibrated for this planet's magnetic interference. We are indeed at the incorrect location."
Vera's jaw tightened.
She looked back at Connor with an expression that could have frozen magma. "Is this really your home?" "Last time I checked my mortgage statement, yeah." "Then we have made an error." She didn't sound apologetic. She sounded furious. "You will forget this incident occurred?" Connor stood slowly, his hands visible. "Not likely. That was not a request, human, and breaking into someone's house isn't usually how first contact goes." Connor felt anger replacing his fear. "So how about you tell me why you're really here before I call the cops?" Vera's hand moved to a weapon on her hip. Her guards raised their rifles. Then the radio on one guard's armor burst to life with urgent alien speech. Vera's expression transformed from fury to something far worse. Terror. "They found him," she whispered. "Part 2 begins now." The guard's weapons swiveled away from Connor toward the shattered doorway. Vera's hand remained on her sidearm, but her attention had shifted completely. Through the opening, Connor could see his front lawn and the quiet street beyond. Everything looked normal. Too normal. "Report!" Vera snapped into her wrist device. The response came in rapid alien speech that the translator couldn't keep up with. Connor caught fragments. "Breach protocol. Unauthorized activation. He's awake." Vera's face went pale beneath her obsidian skin. She spun toward Connor. "Does this residence have a basement?" "Yeah, but take us there." Now, when Connor hesitated, she added, "Your neighbors, 2 houses down, are harboring something that could sterilize this entire continent in the next 4 minutes. Move." Connor's legs were moving before his brain caught up. He led them through his living room to the basement door. His hand shook as he opened it. What the hell did they bring here? "A terminus engine," Vera said, already descending the stairs with her guards flanking her. "A weapon designed to collapse planetary cores. It was supposed to be dormant, inert. We were retrieving it quietly." Connor followed them down into his cluttered basement. Cardboard boxes lined the walls. His old weight bench sat in the corner. Christmas decorations hung from exposed ceiling beams. Vera was scanning the floor with a handheld device that projected blue light across the concrete. "Why would anyone bring something like that to Earth?" Connor demanded. "They didn't mean to." Vera's scanner beeped urgently. "Your planet was designated a quarantine dumping zone 6 cycles ago. Remote. Primitive. Low strategic value. Perfect for hiding decommissioned weapons until proper disposal could be arranged. Primitive. Connor felt his jaw clench. We've got nuclear weapons. Satellites. We've sent probes to other planets. Adorable. Vera knelt beside his water heater. You haven't even achieved basic faster-than-light travel. You still use chemical propulsion. You're barely past the technological threshold of... She stopped. Her scanner was shrieking. No! No, no, no. The concrete floor beneath the water heater was cracking. Glowing orange fissures spread outward like veins. Heat radiated upward in waves that made the air shimmer. It's tunneling, one guard said, making a direct path to the other unit. Vera stood abruptly. We need to evacuate this structure and establish a hard perimeter. The engine is trying to synchronize with its host. In English, Connor said. The weapon is awake and it's calling to the person who activated it. Vera grabbed his shoulder. We need to leave before this entire building becomes collateral damage. The floor buckled. Connor stumbled backward as a section of concrete exploded upward. Through the dust and debris, something moved in the tunnel below. It was vast and mechanical, covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. The symbols pulsed with sickly yellow light. Basement exit! Vera shouted over the rising mechanical shriek. Window well, north side! Connor pointed. They ran. Behind them, the terminus engine emerged further from the tunnel, unfolding like a nightmare flower made of blackened metal and impossible geometry. Connor's basement window shattered outward as Vera fired some kind of cutting beam through it. They scrambled up and out into his backyard. The ground was shaking now. Connor could hear car alarms going off up and down the street. His neighbors were emerging from their houses, pointing at the smoke rising from his roof. Vera's wrist device crackled. More alien speech poured through. They've breached 427, she translated. The host is mobile and heading for the commercial district. He doesn't understand what he's carrying. She looked at Connor with those impossible golden eyes. Your species is about to have a very abrupt introduction to the galactic community. What do we do? Connor asked. We? Vera raised an eyebrow. This isn't your concern, human. This is a military operation. Behind them, something massive tore through Connor's house. The entire structure groaned and collapsed inward. His mortgage, his possessions, his life, all gone in seconds. Connor felt something cold settle in his chest. Not fear anymore, something sharper. You made it my concern when you blew up my door, he said. Now tell me how we stop this thing before it kills everyone I know. Vera stared at him for a long moment. Then, incredibly, she smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. You want to help? Then run faster than you've ever run in your life. She took off toward the street at inhuman speed. And try not to die in the next 60 seconds. Connor ran. Part 3 begins now. Connor's lungs burned as he sprinted after Vera down Maple Drive. The alien queen moved like liquid lightning, her armored form barely touching the pavement. Her 2 guards flanked them, their weapons tracking potential threats. Ahead, civilians scattered in panic as the ground continued to shake. There, Vera pointed toward the shopping plaza 3 blocks away. Above the storefronts, something floated in the air. A man. He hovered 20 feet up, arms spread wide, his body wrapped in coils of that same sickly yellow light Connor had seen on the engine symbols. That's Greg Whitmore, Connor gasped between breaths. He moved in last month. Sold insurance or something? He activated the engine's neural interface, Vera said. She never sounded winded. It's rewriting his brain chemistry, making him believe he's ascended to godhood. Standard corruption protocol for terminus weapons. They need a willing host. Greg's voice boomed across the plaza, amplified by the engine's power. I see it now. I see everything. The lies. The control systems. The prison you all live in. His eyes glowed, the same yellow as the symbols. I can free you. I can free everyone. Cars in the parking lot began lifting off the ground. Shopping carts tumbled through the air. Windows shattered in cascading waves. People screamed and fled in all directions. He thinks he's helping, one of Vera's guards said. They always do, Vera replied. She raised her weapon, a sleek rifle that hummed with building energy. Targeting solution locked. Permission to eliminate host? Negative, Connor said. The word came out before he could stop it. Vera's head snapped toward him. Excuse me? That's a human being up there. Someone's neighbor. Maybe someone's dad. Connor stepped in front of her rifle. You don't get to execute him without trying something else first. Move aside or I'll shoot through you. You won't. Connor held his ground. His heart was trying to jackhammer through his rib cage, but he kept his voice level. Because you need local knowledge. You need someone who understands how humans think. And right now, I'm your only option. Vera's finger hovered over the trigger. The moment stretched impossibly long. Then she lowered the weapon. 30 seconds. Say something that stops him from liquefying this city block. Connor cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, Greg! Greg Whitmore! It's Connor from down the street! The floating figure turned, those terrible yellow eyes fixed on Connor. You're still asleep. Still trapped. I can fix you. I can fix all of you. I believe you think that, Connor called back. But that thing you're connected to, it's lying to you, man. It's a weapon. It's designed to make you think you're special so it can use you. Greg laughed. The sound echoed wrong, layered with harmonics that made Connor's teeth ache. They told you that. The aliens. The invaders. But I can see the truth now. This power was meant for humanity. We were supposed to find it. A delivery truck lifted into the air and hurled itself toward a fleeing family. Connor didn't think. He ran. His legs pumped harder than they ever had. He reached the mother and 2 kids just as the truck's shadow fell over them. He tackled them sideways. They hit the pavement rolling as the truck crashed where they'd been standing, metal shrieking and glass exploding everywhere. You saved them, Greg said. His voice was closer now. He'd descended, floating just 10 feet away. You see, you have it in you. The heroism, the strength. Join me. Let the engine show you what you really are. Yellow tendrils of light reached toward Connor. Vera fired. The shot wasn't meant to kill. It severed the tendrils before they could touch Connor. Greg recoiled, his face twisting with betrayal and rage. You choose them over your own kind? Greg's hands came up. The air around him warped, then burned with them. Energy gathered between his palms. Enough to vaporize the entire plaza. Connor stood. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead where he'd hit the pavement. I chose to save people. That's what humans do, Greg. That's what we're actually good at. Not destroying. Not ascending. Helping each other survive. Primitive thinking, Greg said, but his hands wavered slightly. Maybe. Connor took a step forward. But we've survived ice ages. Plagues. Wars. We've survived because we're stubborn and we're adaptable, and we don't give up on each other. Another step. Whatever that thing is telling you, it's wrong about us. We're not weak. We're not helpless. And we sure as hell don't need cosmic cheat codes to matter. The energy between Greg's hands flickered. Fight it, Connor said. I know you're still in there. I know you can hear me. You're Greg Whitmore. You have a choice. You always have a choice. For just a moment, the yellow glow in Greg's eyes dimmed. His real eye color showed through. Brown. Human. I can't stop it, Greg whispered. It's so loud. It's so loud in my head. Then we'll stop it for you, Vera said. She'd moved to Connor's side. But you have to want to live. You have to fight back. Greg's body convulsed. The engine symbols on his skin blazed brighter. It won't let me go. It won't, he screamed. The scream became a roar that shook the sky itself. Part 4 begins now. The roar cut off abruptly. Greg's body went rigid in midair. The yellow light surrounding him pulsed once, twice, then split into dozens of branching threads that shot outward like seeking fingers. They touched down across the plaza, burrowing into concrete, metal, and asphalt. Everywhere they made contact, the same glowing symbols appeared. It's establishing anchor points, Vera said. She was already backing away, pulling Connor with her. The engine is spreading its neural network through the local infrastructure. In English, Connor snapped. It's turning this entire area into an extension of itself. Vera's guards formed up around them. Once the network is complete, it won't need Greg anymore. It'll have direct access to your planet's core. The ground beneath the plaza cracked open. More of the engine emerged, its impossible geometry unfolding upward like a blooming metal flower. Greg hung suspended in its center, his arms and legs spread wide, his mouth open in a silent scream. The symbols covered every inch of his exposed skin now. Connor's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out. 15 missed calls, dozens of texts, his sister asking if he was okay, his coworker asking if he'd seen the news, his mother demanding he call her immediately. The news notification made his blood run cold. Unidentified phenomenon spreading across Phoenix metro area. Authorities urging evacuation. How many people live in this city? Vera asked. Metro area? Almost 5 million. Vera's expression didn't change, but Connor saw her grip tighten on her weapon. Then we have a problem. My ship can't extract that many people before the engine reaches critical mass. Your ship? Connor looked up. The sky was still blue and empty. Where is it? Cloaked in low orbit. But that's irrelevant now. Vera tapped her wrist device. Holographic displays sprang up around her arm, showing schematics that Connor couldn't begin to understand. We need to sever Greg's connection to the engine before the network completes. That gives us approximately 4 minutes. How do we do that? We don't. Vera manipulated the holograms. I do. You get as far away from here as possible. Not happening. Connor scanned the plaza. Most civilians had fled, but a few were trapped under debris from the earlier chaos. An elderly man was pinned under a fallen traffic light. A woman was trying to pull her unconscious friend from a crushed vehicle. And people still need help. They're going to die anyway if I fail. Then don't fail. Connor was already moving toward the trapped civilians. You handle the alien superweapon, I'll handle the human part. Vera made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been pure exasperation. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Both. It's kind of our species thing. Connor reached the elderly man first. The traffic light was solid steel and weighed at least 200 pounds. He braced himself, grabbed the pole, and pulled. His muscles screamed. The pole didn't budge. One of Vera's guards appeared beside him. Without a word, the alien lifted the traffic light one-handed and tossed it aside like it was made of cardboard. Thanks, Connor gasped. The guard didn't respond. It just moved to the next debris pile and started clearing wreckage with mechanical efficiency. Connor helped the elderly man to his feet. Can you walk? I think so. What's happening? What is that thing? Long story short version, aliens are real and one of them screwed up. Connor guided him toward the edge of the plaza. Just get to your car and drive. Don't stop until you're outside the city limits. He didn't wait to see if the man followed instructions. The woman at the crushed vehicle needed help. Connor ran. The vehicle was a sedan that had been flattened by a falling storefront sign. The unconscious friend was trapped in the passenger seat, bleeding from a head wound. The woman pulling at her was crying, her hands cut and bloody from broken glass. Move back, Connor said. He tried the door. Jammed solid. He looked around for something to use as a lever. The air next to him shimmered. Vera appeared, moving faster than Connor's eyes could track. She placed one hand on the vehicle's roof, and the metal simply peeled away like foil. She reached in, assessed the unconscious woman with a quick scan from her wrist device, then lifted her out with surprising gentleness. Concussion. Fractured ribs. She'll live. Vera handed the woman to her friend. Go. Now. They went. Vera turned to Connor. You know you can't save everyone, correct? Doesn't mean I shouldn't try. Sentiment like that is why your species keeps getting exploited by more advanced civilizations. But Vera's expression had softened slightly. The engine network is at 60% completion. I need to reach Greg and physically sever his neural connection. What does that involve? Removing the interface spike from the base of his skull. Vera's eyes tracked upward to where Greg still hung in the engine's center, while avoiding the defensive protocols that will try to kill anything that gets close. As if on cue, the engine's outer shell opened. Dozens of segmented limbs emerged, each tipped with blades that glowed with the same yellow energy. They moved with predatory grace, testing the air, seeking targets. Those look bad, Connor said. They liquefy organic matter on contact. Vera checked her weapon's charge. I'll need a distraction, something to draw their attention while I make my approach. Connor looked at the engine, at Greg's suspended form. Then he looked at the guard who'd helped him lift the traffic light. An insane idea formed in his mind. Your armor, Connor said to the guard. Can humans wear it? The guard tilted its head, looked at Vera. Vera stared at Connor like he'd just suggested juggling live grenades. You want to be the distraction. You said it yourself. You need someone fast and unpredictable. Someone the engine won't see coming. Connor met her golden eyes. I'm volunteering. You'll die, maybe. But I'm definitely dead if that thing activates anyway. Connor held out his hand. So what do you say, Commander? You willing to trust a primitive human? Vera studied him for a long moment. The engine continued to unfold behind her. The network percentage climbed higher. Then she nodded to her guard. Suit him up, she said, and may whatever gods you believe in have mercy on us both. Part 5 begins now. The armor felt like wearing liquid metal. It flowed over Connor's body, conforming to his shape, sealing at the seams with soft clicks. The helmet locked into place, and his vision exploded with information. Targeting reticles, threat assessments, energy readings, a countdown timer showing 2 minutes and 40 seconds until network completion. The suit will enhance your strength and speed by a factor of 12, Vera said. Her voice came through crystal clear in his helmet speakers, but it won't make you invincible. Those blades will cut through the armor if they get a solid hit. Connor flexed his fingers. The armored gloves responded perfectly. He felt strong, fast, powerful. He also felt terrified, but the suit seemed to filter that out somehow, keeping his breathing steady and his heart rate controlled. What's the plan? He asked. You draw the defensive protocols away from the central chamber. I go in fast and hard, remove the spike, and extract Greg before the engine realizes what happened. Vera's weapon hummed as she charged it to full power. Simple, simple, Connor repeated. Right. Try not to die in the first 10 seconds. It would be embarrassing for both of us. Connor almost laughed. Then the engine's bladed limbs turned in his direction, sensing the armored presence, and laughter became impossible. He ran. The suit amplified every movement. Connor crossed the plaza in seconds, his boots leaving cracks in the pavement. The engine's limbs whipped toward him, blades slicing through the air with shrieks of displaced atmosphere. Connor dodged left, then right, his enhanced reflexes keeping him microseconds ahead of death. A blade came down where his head had been. He rolled, came up running, and leaped. The suit's jump thrusters fired automatically. He soared 15 feet into the air, twisted, and landed on top of a ruined storefront. Good, Vera's voice said in his ear. Keep moving. Stay unpredictable. 3 limbs converged on his position. Connor jumped again, this time grabbing onto one of the limbs as it passed. The metal was hot enough to feel through the armor. He climbed hand over hand, using the engine's own appendages as a jungle gym. The engine didn't like that. More limbs folded inward, trying to scrape him off. Connor swung from one to another, putting every childhood playground skill to use. Below him, he caught a glimpse of Vera moving through the chaos, a silver blur heading for the central chamber. A blade caught his shoulder. The armor held, but warning indicators flashed red in his vision. The suit's structural integrity was at 70%. Another hit like that and he'd be exposed. Connor dropped, letting gravity take him. He fell 20 feet and hit the ground in a crouch that should have shattered his legs. The suit absorbed the impact. He rolled forward as blades stabbed the concrete where he'd landed. Network at 85%, Vera reported. I'm almost there. 30 more seconds. Connor didn't have 30 seconds. The engine had learned his patterns. 4 limbs came at him simultaneously from different angles, cutting off escape routes. He dove forward into a gap that was barely wide enough, felt a blade scrape across his back, and came up with his armor integrity at 40%. The suit's systems were compensating, rerouting power, trying to keep him alive. But there were limits. Connor looked up. Greg was directly above him now, suspended in the heart of the engine, his body wreathed in yellow light. His eyes were open, but Connor couldn't tell if anyone was home anymore. Greg! Connor shouted. If you're still in there, fight back. Help us, help you. No response.